Good morning, everyone. So, my name's Connor. I'm a coach and personal trainer for JW Coaching, and it's my first ever YouTube video. So, yeah, we'll see how this goes. And we're in for hamstrings and back session today. So I'll just read off the exercise order, just what we're going to be running through. So we've got seated hamstring curls, we've got deadlifts, which are always exciting, lying hamstring curls, close grip pull down, a single arm row, and a machine row. So we're just going to blast through the session and see how it goes. So we're going to begin by doing a little bit of warm-ups, a little bit of stretching. I don't spend too much time doing that before most sessions. I should probably spend a bit more time doing it, but I do what is necessary and nothing more. I think a lot of people, they spend 20, 30 minutes stretching and warming up. By the time they even go into the session, they're a little bit fucked already. So what I want to do, spend enough time doing it, get straight into it, and use the exercises that I'm doing as a bit of a warm-up, and just take my time really progressing through those sets, then getting into the heavy stuff and, well, having some fun. So yeah, let's go get started. So as I said before about warming up with the exercises, I know what my top set weights are. I know my working weight, the weight that's battering me, the weight that's actually challenging. So I can just go to about 50% of that, move the reps really slow, get a feel for my hamstrings, get some blood pumped there, warm up my knee joint as well, before I get into those heavy sets. So especially for your first exercises, I wouldn't just walk in and go boom, boom, boom out the gate, just because they're probably not gonna feel as good. And then two, you just risk hurting yourself as well. So we're gonna start, we're just gonna feed it up and then work up to the heavy working weight. Some valuable little things you'll find through those warm-up sets. And one thing for me there was my seating position. I realized as I was warming up, the seat was a little bit too far back, so I wasn't quite as supported. Another reason why you shouldn't just go straight into those heavier sets, because if you find that out halfway through your heaviest set, you could already just be, well, you kind of messed it up. It's a bit too late, can't back off and then undo that. So for me, it's just bringing that seat a little bit further forward, just so my lower back is really pressed into it. So when I push back into those handles, I'm actually planted against this here. So more stability I can have here, more stability I'm gonna have likely at my knee, which is where everything's moving from when you're doing this movement here. So just a few little things to think about like that. Again, you don't need to overcomplicate things, but if you feel something is different, it probably is different. So on that one, I matched what I did last time, but arguably, and in my own head anyway, at least, I had more control. It's not just about throwing more weight on or just doing more reps there. If you have more control over the weight you're moving, you're probably gonna have a bit more stimulus going through those muscles. So consider that next time you go in, before you get disheartened about doing the same weight or the same reps. Really think about the set that you did and consider that. And another thing you'll see there at the end, I did 2 partial reps. Didn't quite complete them, didn't quite get all the way down, probably about halfway. Call them half reps if you want to. But I'm getting that little bit more out of it. And I'm doing it in a safe and controlled way. I was, at least in my own head, not manipulating my own body position to force them through. I wasn't leaning forward. I wasn't trying to sort of cheat it through. I was working with the strength that I had at the time. So if you do go for those sort of partial reps, make sure you don't adjust your setup or just start throwing things around, because you're cheating those reps. It's hard to track them as well. So the machine says 12, I did 10 plus 2 there. That's how I track that. So even next time, if I get another partial rep, it's technically more than what I did today. So it's just another little way of tracking those little 1%. For a lot of people, won't matter. But for myself, I'm trying to take it that far, so it does matter to me. Ooh. Oh. Deadlifts now. Now, look, I'm not gonna lie. I came into this session, I felt a bit shit. But now I've warmed up and I've got into it, pre-workout as well and truly in my system, I feel pretty good. I feel actually quite strong. So look, when you're driving to the gym or even when you wake up in the morning, if you're feeling a bit shit, it doesn't mean you're not gonna be productive. It doesn't mean you're not gonna get what you need to done. So it's not an excuse to just sack it off because you're not quite feeling up to it. Look, especially as a parent, I'm a parent, I've got a 1.5-year-old little girl at home who is not sleeping well at the minute. So I've maybe had 5 hours of sleep coming into this session. Could have used that as an excuse to just, nah, I won't train. And there will be situations where you probably shouldn't. You've had an hour's sleep and you can barely stand up. Probably not best to force yourself to train, especially doing something like deadlifts. But for me, it's persevering regardless. If I quit, if I don't come in, show up and get shit done anyway, I'm not gonna be where I wanna be this time next year. And that thought of not being where I wanna be this time next year terrifies me. Because my goals are, they're heavy enough to me. They mean enough that I will come in and I will do this anyway, regardless of how I feel. So, you know, you should sometimes listen to how you feel, but if you know that's getting in the way of what you need to do, you need to put it to a side, just every now and then, to do what's necessary. My warm-up routine for deadlifts is pretty simple. I do the bar, a few reps, stick a plate on, do a few reps, stick another plate on, do a few reps. You guessed it, stick another plate on, do a few reps, and just work up. And obviously that's gonna depend on how much weight you're actually working with. So I'm coming off the back of a deload. So I got ill, had to deload, had to sort of back off in terms of training, and I'm just coming back from that. So I'm not gonna do what I was previously doing. I'm not gonna be in the state to actually do that. I need to actually build back up, which in the long run can actually give you an even better foundation and platform to progress even higher than you were before. So I know in the past I did 215 kilos for 5 reps, and it was a pretty sketchy 5 reps. So I'm not gonna be going for that today. Last week, you know, my first one back, I did 180. So today I'll work up. I'll work up and see. I'll probably touch 180 for 1 rep because that'll give me a little bit of a gauge as to how strong I'm feeling, how hard I can brace, strength I have, the energy I have. Because if I just go straight into a 200 kg set and I tweak my back, or I don't know, just feels like garbage, then I'm really not gonna get the most out of it. So, especially if you have a bodybuilding approach, especially if you are trying to gain muscle, you don't need to just do the most weight possible. You're trying to stimulate the muscles, not just annihilate them through brute force and ignorance. So I'm gonna try and practice what I preach and not get too carried away and be a massive meathead. Yes. Right. So I achieved exactly what I wanted to out of that. Touched that first rep, flew up. Felt good, felt really good actually. So that tells me I could do more. So when I increase things, I usually work it out as a percentage in my head. So 180 is on the bar there. 10% more of that, it's gonna be about, well, 18 kilos. So if I go up 20, then I'm adding just over 10%. That's probably gonna be a workable load that I can actually, tolerate and add onto the bar and not hopefully die. I'm gonna get close to death, but hopefully not die. So we're gonna just fucking go for it. I'm gonna take the time, I'm gonna hype up. Your head has to be in these sets. If it's not, the lift's over. And that's why I put the same amount of respect into that set, or well, that rep anyway, as I would this next set that I'm doing. Because if that didn't move well, then I would not be moving the next set well. It'd be in my head, I'd be thinking, oh God, I'm not feeling as strong today. I'm not feeling very well. And I really make the choice there. I made the choice to choose to do that well and to put everything into it. And it's now gonna pay off because I'm now gonna do 200 and it's gonna go well, hopefully. Oh, hup. Yes. Oh, fuck off. Whoa, come on. Oh. Oh. Last one. Come on. Remember, the next time you hear someone say, oh, you shouldn't deadlift if you're trying to build muscle. The stimulus to fatigue ratio is just poor. Look at their back. Look at how they train. They're probably just scared of doing them. That's fucking fun. To be quite honest with you, I don't give a shit if the fucking stimulus to fatigue ratio doesn't add up. One of the biggest things about training is enjoying your training. I enjoy that. That is fun. That, I look forward to that for weeks, every week. Scares me, scares the shit out of me, it does. But doing that, and voluntarily doing that anyway, makes you more disciplined, ultimately makes you so much stronger. So there's really something to be said about just basic exercises. Everyone wants to do the fancy D-handle wrapped around a cuff, wrapped around a band, fucking fandango raises. All the stuff you see like that, people aren't doing to actually build muscle. They're probably doing it to get your attention for their Instagram account. And look, if you apply the foundations of weight training and progress your training over a period of time, doing the basic stuff, you will get more results. And I'm saying this as someone who used to fall for all of that stuff. Every workout would be different, right? How can I change this? How can I make this a little bit better? And again, we should make things better and want to improve, but I was doing it to the point where I was forgetting to work hard. I was forgetting to do things consistently. And everyone says that saying like an paralysis by analysis kind of thing. And it was very much that. I was trying to find these special exercises and special rep ranges and special everything to build muscle when really the special thing is, and was for me anyway, just the work that I wasn't doing. And being surrounded by the expertise of the right people as well. I was keeping myself in a little box and I train on my own and I wouldn't speak to anyone else in the gym. And yeah, the internet's a great tool for researching, but there is so much misleading bollocks on there that, again, I mean, you may consider this that as well, and that's your freedom and go for it. But again, like I'm speaking from experience and from having done this in the past. I've trained for 10 years now, and I would say a good 7 of those years was utter crap. It's just terrible, like really not progressing, super frustrated, trying to bulk for a few weeks, trying to cut for a few weeks, changing exercises every session. And you know, it's, again, like I said, it's all boils down and goes back to the consistent high level of effort. You cannot avoid it. Ooh. So we're doing this lying hamstring curl now, and you know, compared to like a seated one, which is really, really stable, we don't have that same level of stability on this one. The only thing really holding us in place there is the pad against the back of our leg and gravity holding me down, where on the seated one, we've got that pad locking our leg into position and making the knee very, very stable. So can't quite go as heavy on this, and you'll probably find in your gym, the weight stack on the lying hamstring curl doesn't quite go as heavy as the seated one. And that's for a reason. You're less likely to be working as heavy. So don't just try and match your numbers from the seated one onto the lying one, because you're probably just going to be flopping around, and you just got to get a lot of movement in your hips, which more movement in your hips is less likely less tension in your hamstrings. So trying to target the hamstrings, trying to get as much through there as possible. So just bear that in mind when you're doing a lying hamstring curl. Whoa. Oh. Whoa. Again, they're trying to practice what I preach within that set a little bit. If you can't fully squeeze and get to that top position, the only thing you're going to do to force yourself there is start to move through your hips a little bit. So it's much better for you to hold that rep there and just try and almost like let the back of your legs carry that through, versus you then changing your position to force it through, because it's going to be less hamstrings and more everything else. We don't want that. So we're moving on to the pull session now, the back focused session. Now a lot of this for me is going to be lat focused. One of my weak points in my physique at the minute is my lats, which is just this bit of my back. And really it's something I need to bring up. So when you need to bring up or want to bring up and make bigger a body part, you've got to do a few things. Maybe train it more frequently, maybe have more training volume, which is just the amount of sets you do for that body part, and then do the right exercises as well. Now I cannot definitively say for you which one of those things you need to do, but it's usually a combination of the three. And to be honest, as I said before, like the main thing is how hard you're training that body part. And I've been guilty of this in the past as well. For me, it's my arms, complaining, why are my arms not growing? And oh, I wish I had big arms. And then I get to the end of my push or pull sessions and I'd just be doing this. And you know, with a lightweight, trying to get a pump where really wasn't doing anything good for me. So, you know, really take a step back and analyze what you're doing and really think to yourself, you know, am I doing the best that I could be doing? And if you don't know that, then, well, you probably need help. You probably need a coach or consult a personal trainer or do your own research. But as I said before as well, be careful because there's a lot of bollocks out there.
You cashed in on my promises. You know I'm too generous. Now I've learned to never help you out. 'Cause I'm done cleaning up your mess. Found myself in my regrets. I've become a little stronger now. A little stronger now. You cashed in on my promises. You know I'm too generous. Now I've learned to never help you out. 'Cause I'm done cleaning up your mess. Found myself in my regrets. I've become a little stronger now. 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 You cashed in on my promises. You know I'm too generous. Now I've learned to never help you out. 'Cause I'm done cleaning up your mess. Found myself in my
At this point in the session, I don't need to spend too long warming up. I'm warmed up already. Still need to rehearse the movement, get a feel for it, kind of just see how I'm, how I'm locked in, maybe just to gauge what weight I can do, but I'm warmed up. I'm ready to go. So I'm literally just gonna back off on my working weight, touch a couple of reps on both sides, see how I feel on both sides. So I do find, especially on these single arm movements for my back, I do have a bit of imbalance. So sometimes my right side feels a little bit different to my left. So I have to manipulate my shoulder position a little bit, but we'll just see how it goes. We'll just touch a few reps and see. This being one of my weaker body parts, one thing I am trying to do and emphasize on this is actually pause and feel that squeeze position. So when I'm pulling backwards, I'm squeezing my lats the most. That's why I'm trying to hold it there for a second or two, just to feel it. You know, don't be obsessed with the way a movement feels, you know, but it is relevant, especially on some of your weaker muscle groups, or even if you're just new to the gym, if you don't feel certain movements, usually just slow them down, or even just spend time at both ends of the rep, just holding it there for a second. You're gonna remove any momentum, and you're gonna get that second or two to actually think about what you're doing instead of just going forwards, backwards. And that will apply to, you know, different movements. I'm not pausing for much on those deadlifts I did over there, but for this one, trying to just isolate that one muscle group, slowing it down is gonna be the better thing to do. Now, something I'm trying to incorporate into my daily routine a little bit more is actually posing. One thing I learned from the Pose by Faye event that was over here on the Isle of Man recently was that I need to work on my posing. It's usually an afterthought for most people, but it's really highlighted that I need to work on it. So it's gonna be something I'm putting into my routine, especially post-workout a little bit more, just to get an idea of how to do it, just to loosen up, get better at it basically, because you only progress if you practice something. So I'm going into this, I have very little experience posing, so I'm probably gonna hit some weird shapes here, but enjoy. As you can see, still got a long way to go, but really what I'm focusing on is being better than I was last year, being better than I was last month, you know, whatever. Just look back, see where you were and see where you are now. And if you can objectively say you're in a better place, then happy days. You know, you're going to be in that sort of, I guess, loop of positive reinforcement instead of negative one. So instead of looking and be like, oh, I'm not where I want to be, you're focusing on, right, I've come this far, this is what I've done, this has got me to here. What can I do better? And then improve, you know. I know in bodybuilding you are against other people on stage, but you only really improve if you beat yourself over and over again. And, you know, that's one thing I'm trying to focus on a little bit more. It's easy to compare yourself to other people in the gym. And really, they say comparison is the thief of joy. I have a little bit of a controversial spin on that, really, because I see that said a lot, and it's very true. It is very true, don't get me wrong. But I think if you can turn, you know, the joy that is stolen from it into inspiration. You know, when I look at people doing more than me, whether it's George squatting heavier than me, whether it's, you know, fuck it, Jordan Peters, you know, Kuba, any of these guys I look up to, I don't feel disheartened. There is no joy that is stolen from me when I look at those guys. I feel inspired, truly inspired. I think I look at them and I'm like, they can achieve that. These are the things they've done to achieve that. So let's do some of that. You know, no joy is taken from me by comparing myself to them. I simply get better from it. And I think if you can have that, you know, have that spin on things, it is, again, a more positive way to move forwards. And again, to be inspired by that versus feeling disheartened, because the more time you spend disheartened, the less time you're going to spend doing stuff and actually getting better. So sometimes you just got to give yourself that kick in the ass. Look at what other people are doing. If it's working, then you do it as well. Right, bit of a session wrap up. Great success. Did some good numbers there, actually. And, you know, coming back from a deload, you will have a good amount of oomph in you, but it's still good to have a little bit of a restraint just to give yourself a big runway to then progress, instead of just going in the deep end and then in 2 or 3 weeks' time needing another deload. You know, you do have to sometimes restrain yourself. Not an excuse to not train hard, but again, reining yourself in and having a coach is the best way to do that, because otherwise you'll just be in that constant cycle of messing yourself up by getting too fatigued, then having to deload, or just getting ill all the time as well. So hit some good numbers there. Got a rest day tomorrow. I feel like I've earned it, which is good. So yeah, got the rest of the day ahead of me now. Got work, plenty of bits to do there. Go see my daughter, look after her for a bit as well. And yeah, thank you so much for watching this video. Now, if you enjoyed this, and if you want anything more from this, comment below. Comment anything, just anything. Tell me I'm great. Tell me I'm shit. Do what you want. Like the video as well, and you may see some more bits like this coming your way.